Ladies and gentlemen, we are live on Reinventing the Tattoo this morning with Ricardo Sturdivant. This is actually episode number 14 of his Reinventing drawing group. We've been through lots of different stuff. We focus on anatomy, we focus on simple shapes, all sorts of stuff. If you're watching, let us know in the comments that the YouTube stream is working. Let us know where you're beaming in from. And also, if you would like to join live, do so by checking out our community app that's found in both of the app stores, otherwise directly at community.reinventingthetattoo.com. It looks like we have lost Ricardo, but I'm sure he'll hop right back on, you guys. Happy to see you guys. It's a nice Tuesday morning here. There you are, Ricardo. So
what's up
today?
Today we're going to be just working on some drawings that I've had ideas for, and I've been asked quite a few times about where did I get my ideas from, or how do we talk about inspiration. And I've had a lot of artists kind of reach out to me sometimes and talk about how they're kind of feeling burnt out. You know what I mean? So I thought what we would do today is kind of talk about some of those things. And I write down notes and stuff like that all the time. So I thought we'd kind of talk about some inspiration today. I just wanted to say thank you, Lauren, first of all, for helping out with this with these classes. We couldn't do it without you. Thank you so much. And I know that I would be entirely lost, especially whenever we're both trying to kind of problem shoot things together. I think most of the time it's just you talking out loud so I can hear you, because I don't have too many of the answers most of the time. But thank you so much.
Like I was saying before, I think it helps that we're both kind of at that same point, and we can kind of feed off of each other to know what works. Really
yeah, heck yeah. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree any more with you. But yeah, it's been helpful for me. And I know we've shared some stuff on like some of the video stuff like that, the Premiere, Adobe Premiere, that's been fun too. Yeah, so I think we'll just jump straight into it. I've been thinking a lot. The past few weeks, I've been super busy. Hello, Faith. Hello, Joe. Good to see you guys. Or good to have you guys here with us. I can't see any of you yet, but good to have you here with us. Yeah. So I'll just jump right into it. Whenever you guys get a chance, just say hello or something like that. But let's go ahead and talk about this inspiration thing first. The past few weeks, I've been pretty busy. I've been doing a lot of work kind of behind the scenes and stuff like that too. So it tends to kind of lend to this feeling of overwhelmed emotion sometimes, like you don't have enough time for anything. Sometimes, I know for me, I like to get up early in the morning, and I have a routine. I found that I thrive pretty well on routine. So it helps me out quite a bit as far as my thought process and dealing with the daily world and dealing with clients and dealing with my workload and everything like that. And that's part of what we'll be talking about in some of this definition of inspiration. But basically, let's talk about finding inspiration. A lot of people are always asking how. But I think one of the first things we need to do before we ask how we find inspiration is to define what it actually is. Like, what does inspiration mean to us? Well, the definition is pretty much the idea of finding it. The definition is basically something that helps you generate ideas. So that's kind of like what inspiration means. On a technical term, it's a noun, I think, right? But it comes not only from the definition itself, but it comes from everywhere. It's from the things that we see daily. It's the things that we experience, even those times that we're sitting there and we're feeling overwhelmed and we're feeling like we can't get enough done, or we feel like there's not enough time in the day. That's a moment of inspiration if you kind of open up to that interpretation of moments in our daily lives. There's a lot of things that we can generate from that. You know what I mean? There's a lot of feelings that we can kind of put into some of the paintings and stuff like that we do, or some of the concepts of drawings that we do. I know I've done it before for sure, especially lately. Like I said, it comes from everywhere. It's in the mundane, like what we were just talking about. It's in things that are existing. So like references, Google images, you know what I mean? It's everywhere. It's from like non-existing things, like our imagination. Things that we recall as a child, or things that we like to pretend. I don't know about you guys, but a lot of times in conversations, I'll end up listening to part of the conversation and something catches my attention, the way they said a word or something, a moment of theirs that they're sharing with me, and I start kind of like picturing this movie kind of scenario playing out. It's hilarious. The closest thing I've ever been able to explain it to is, and I'm sure we all feel that sometimes, right? But the show Scrubs, the main character JD is always imagining this scenario in his head. Like whenever people are trying to have a conversation with him, he has no idea where the hell he's at the moment, and I can definitely relate to that. So imagination, our interactions with each other, you know, we are constantly faced with opportunity. Constantly. Everybody's always talking about how I wish I had more opportunity. I wish I had these things kind of pop into my lap. But the fact is that every time we encounter a person, there's an opportunity for us to learn more about our existence and the relationship of our world as that perception. We have opportunities fall into our laps all the time, but we think they're so insignificant sometimes that we just overlook them. And it's always kind of funny because, like, especially with some of the newer tattoo artists coming up, they think a lot of this, and I was in the same boat where they think a lot of this just had to do with the people that you knew. And that's true to a point, but I think the opportunities that we miss sometimes are fear-based as well. Like we're afraid to go up to this person and say hello. We're afraid to go up to this person and ask them to look at our work and see what they think about it. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, you know. And that's the other part of this that I'd like to talk about too, is that we base this idea of fear as a negative thing, and it's actually none of it's really negative if you think about it. It's always these motivators, but it depends on how we allow that emotion to dictate our actions. And I think that's something that we should take into consideration when we're thinking about inspiration. It's also something that urges you to do some things or to take action, right? It's an action to create. It's not always going to be easy for you to be able to sit down and just pull some shit out of your head or out of your ass and then like sit down in front of a blank piece of paper and just draw it. A lot of my drawings sometimes just start with these simple shapes, just simple strokes of like a charcoal pencil or a pen or a marker or a paintbrush, and just standing back and just looking at it and letting the character of itself kind of take life. And then I'm just pretty much a conduit at that point where there's something inside there that wants to come out, but we have to allow it. So a lot of the times that has to do with us being open and sitting back and not getting caught up in this anxiety of, I have to create something. I have to do this. I have to make it the best thing I've ever done up until this point. But that's not always true. Some of the best things you can do are some of those moments where you just let it go. And that's true in my life as well. And I always talk about this quite a bit. And the past few weeks, I've been pretty busy, and I've allowed this overwhelming feel to kind of take grip and keep me from being a little bit more informative with you guys as far as like where I'm at and with my artwork and like what we can all do together. So I'm back. Let's do this. Some of the other questions we want to ask ourselves is like, what is an idea? Sometimes we get stuck, like I was just saying, on the question or the pressure of coming up with original ideas. There's this, I can't remember the source of it, but supposedly there's only like 12 or 13 original stories in the world as far as our history goes, which is funny and ironic because it goes back to the number of apostles that are in like the Bible and stuff like that too. I related to that quite a bit. I think I read that somewhere, but anyways, these 12 or 13 stories are supposedly the only original ideas that we have. So if you sit back and think about that for a second, that means that every movie we ever watch, every book we ever read are based off of these 12 or 13 original stories. So that means that everything we do is not necessarily original, but it's a new take on these origins. So that's why it's always fun for me to like read comics, especially when there's this established character and they take it and they spin it around and they tell you what if. And like, there's this new thing on Disney right now where it's like this what if cartoon, and they've been comics before, and it's pretty fun. Especially with Marvel, they add a lot of comedy to it, so it makes it relatable. It's fucking great, man. I love it. But it's always cool to be able to think about that, because it allows you to kind of take off that pressure of you're going to create this new original idea. And you might, somebody you know might do that. But the fact is that you have to release yourself of that anxiety and that pressure of doing that every time you sit down. It's good to just try to think of your own interpretation of ideas sometimes and be able to come up with a way to illustrate that or paint it or speak it or feel it. So that's one of the things that we want to think about whenever it's what is an idea. And a lot of times that keeps us from even sitting down to draw. So that's one of the things to think about, guys. Ideas come from things like fragments of our experiences, everything that we've experienced up until this moment. That's what makes us real to ourselves. All of these moments, all of these experiences, that's the only thing that makes our reality our reality. And that's every person that you see, every person that you walk across, every person you talk to, every time you get to say hello to somebody, that's what that is. It's their experiences up until that very moment where you come to their path. Interactions with people, activities, and knowledge. Knowledge is key. I used to think that knowledge meant reading as many books as you could, understanding what 12 divided by 2.1 was, or like, learning a new language and stuff like that. Like, don't get me wrong, that stuff is great to have in an arsenal of sorts, if that's the right word to use, or a collection, but it's not. It's actually attaining of knowledge is going to help us to get to a better point of wisdom, right? And that includes our experiences. That includes every bad thing we feel like we've ever done, everything we've ever done to someone or ourselves. That includes all of those times that we've started drawings or paintings and we're just like, fuck this, I want to throw it away, dude. I can't do it anymore. It's the worst thing I've ever done. That is those experiences. That's that wisdom. That's those moments that we collect. And we got to remember that. It's always important to remember that, because sometimes that painting that you don't want to do anymore, that painting that you want to throw away, you can set it aside and you can kind of come back to it with a fresh approach, a fresh set of eyes, because you've let go of that pressure to create something so perfect. In my opinion, anyway. This is all very much opinion based, but I'm just telling you guys kind of where I come from whenever it comes to making these paintings, making these drawings, and having you guys sit here with me at this moment. Like, the fact is that I would have never thought that I'd be doing this at the beginning of the year. Would have never even imagined it. I've always hoped it. I've always thought that it would be pretty cool, but I was always so anxious and so nervous about doing it that I didn't even try. But here I am, and here we all are. So thank you guys for making this possible. Let's see. So with that being said, there are some ways that we can kind of narrow this down. A lot of us have different ways of thinking. Mine is very random. So I try to keep a little notebook with me. I have a wallet that has this little notepad in it, and I'll just jot stuff down if I'm thinking about it. Or we all have phones in our pockets now with like a recording function. It's always good to be able to just speak into our phone if we have to, or even put it in our notes or something like that, share it with our email, or, if you have a friend of yours that you can talk to about everything and they remember stuff, talk to them about it too. Let's see. So some of the lists of the ways that I find inspiration. One of the things we want to do is get rid of our distractions. That can include a lot of different things. For me, a lot of it has to do with my cell phone, responding to texts or responding to emails or responding to clients. You know what I mean? You have to get rid of these distractions in order to create this space for yourself to be calm, to be in the moment, and to be ready to create. So cell phones is definitely one of them for me. It's a lack of productivity. I try to set a time for myself because I have become busier in my life with obligations and things that I'm trying to do to make my art better, make my life better, and be interactive with other artists. It's become pretty busy, but that's good. It's good for me, and I like it. But you definitely have to set some time aside for yourself every once in a while to turn it all off and just focus on yourself. And that includes you and your art. You have to set a mood, just like they say. You want to spend some alone time, get a bath going. You know what I mean? Light some candles or something like that. But it's true. It's very true. I like to start some incense. I like to burn some incense. I'm going to start that here in a little bit. As a matter of fact, I didn't get a chance to do it yet, so I'm going to after sort of done having this conversation. We say hello to everybody, but you got to set a mood. So if you have an apartment or a studio or something like that, it's very good to kind of go into the space and maybe even just sit there for a few hours by yourself with nothing going on, or like a favorite song. Play a favorite song, play a favorite album or something like that, and just sit in the space and try to see how you want to create this area for yourself to make it comfortable. And it's always unique to each person. Sometimes that makes to where you go into some shops and they have a lot of toys on the wall or something like that, or like all these little dolls or whatever it is that they're into, paintings, prints from other artists. That's a really popular one for tattoo artists. And a lot of times what I've noticed is some of the artists that I've met, they do have those spaces that they include everybody else in, but they also have their own little studio at their apartment or something like that. And it's very different from what they have at the shop. And that's awesome. And I think that it's good to try if you can. And I know a lot of us work in spaces where we have to share a space with other people. So it kind of makes it a little harder to do that. But it's good to be able to put some of yourself into your space as well. And I know it sounds kind of, real small, minimal, but it can be, but it's pretty monumental as far as like the way that we think and the way that we feel. It affects our mood. For me, it does for sure. Sometimes it's a textual thing for me. Like I'll have a little, like the thing that cleans my glasses. I like to feel it because it's really soft. I can't wear shirts with a lot of heavy print on them a lot because that freaks me out. I get all sweaty and stuff too. So it's pretty weird. But so things like that, like a little figurine or something that you really dig. Put it in your station if you can. Little painting, picture, some kind of happy moment, like Bob Ross says. I already talked about this a little while ago, but you have to be open. That's really important as far as this list of ways to find inspiration. Being open, being in the moment. I talk about this a lot to people that I hang out with. You're walking around and something tells you to go and say hello to this person. Somebody you've never even met, probably. Go say hi to them. Follow that fucking path, man, and let it go and find out where it takes you. You'd be surprised that you might know somebody that knows them, or like you guys like the same music, or you guys don't like anything at all. You guys don't interact with each other at all, but you did not let that moment go. You didn't let it go, and you became part of that time in your life. And it's so much more important than some of these things that we rush around to do. I need gas for my car. You can get gas any fucking time you want to. I need to go deposit money in my bank. Sometimes that's urgent, but you should have taken care of it when you had a chance instead of just procrastinating your ass off, right? So go and take care of things that matter. Interactions with people, interactions with nature, interactions with things that we would have never even thought to do. And I've been doing that a lot more this year, especially with things that I thought I would never like. I've been listening to more music that I thought I'd never like. I'm watching more movies that I thought I'd never like. I've been reading more books that I thought I would never be into. And it's definitely helping out, I think, because I am opening myself up to more possibilities and more knowledge. So, and I might like some of it. I actually have liked some of it too. So it's pretty cool. We have to pay attention to some of these things. Make sure to pay attention to the things the way that we feel about it. Try to see things from a different perspective. Perspective is the thing that I always say, right? Perspective, but it's true. Once we start giving in to others' thoughts, others' ideas, others' ways of seeing things, we are truly open to the moment at that time, because we are no longer a filter. We're no longer our own filter. We're not seeing through our eyes. We're trying to see through this other person's eyes. And there's a lot of potential for ideas there. So there's ways that they see it that you haven't, that you don't. And that's really important to me, for sure, with my art. Let's see what else. New opportunities means a new experience. I've already said that, right? Okay, so here's an important one. As tattoo artists, we're always trying to be inspired. We have Instagram, we have the Reinventing the Tattoo app. We are exposing ourselves to a lot of other art and a lot of other paintings and a lot of other tattoos and a lot of other people as far as their interpretations of things. And that's good. It's always good to be able to do that. But one of the things I will say for sure is that we do not want to allow that to interpret us as an artist. Don't beat yourself up because they're doing something so much better than you are. And you look at it and you think that they're just better than you are. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's the case. There might be a different skill level for sure, and you might not have obtained that yet, but that doesn't mean that they're better than you. It just means that they're doing something differently than you do it. That's what you're looking for. That's what it is that you're looking for, is how do they approach it? Where does that idea come from? What's the important part of that image? That's what it is that we want to see. How do they use the color? How do they use their line weight? And, you know, a lot of times if you're looking at people's art, you can see a lot of repetition, not in a bad way, but as a method. And that's good. It's always good to have a foundation for different styles of art, for sure. It doesn't necessarily make it rule number one, but it definitely makes it pretty valuable in obtaining that for yourself. Let's see what else. When you're looking for inspiration, it's a terrible waste of time to compare yourself. Like I said, don't doubt yourself. It's also going to hinder development on your part too, because all you're going to be doing is getting stuck in that thought process, that negative thought process. Those negative emotions become our reality because we allow it to dictate our actions. And we have to understand that our emotions are nothing more than a thought and a feeling that you can absorb and that we can place in different parts of our life for different functions. Doesn't mean things don't suck sometimes, but it doesn't mean that it has to dominate your world either. We also have to be open and honest with our feelings and our emotions. And that's exactly what I'm talking about right there. It's good to allow yourself to say shit sucks. Sometimes my art sucks today. It's okay. That doesn't mean it sucks every day. It just means it sucks today. And it means that you think that sucks today. So let it be that. Don't beat yourself up because you feel like it is the case. Just let it go. Work on something else. Go take care of something else that you haven't taken care of yet. Take a step away and do what you need to do in order to kind of achieve the rest of your day. And you'll be surprised that when you come back to that painting or that drawing that you think sucks, how much easier it is for you to find out what it is that is wrong with it. And that's because you've eliminated those emotions with it that are tied to that image. One of the last things that I'll talk about real quick is surrounding ourselves with things that you love, that you literally love. That can include a lot of different things for a lot of different people. It can be things, it can be items, it can be places, it can be music, it can be art, food. You don't want to surround yourself with too much food. That might not be very good in the long run. And people. It's good to find those connections with people. And when us as people, as a human species, I think we're all afraid of being vulnerable. I know I am. I know I have been for a long time. And that is on a couple different levels. It's a lot of different things, but when we're focusing on the art process of it, the art portion of it, it's good to be vulnerable in your art, because it's going to allow you to interpret constructive criticism without any kind of bias on your part from your filter. It's always important to be able to take that constructive criticism in the way that it's intended. And some people might be malicious about it. Some people might be mean about it. Some people might be hating on you because of it. And you might not see that right away. But a lot of times these negative emotions are coming from something that they are fearful of. The person doing that kind of malicious intent. And it's not good. It's not good for anybody. It's not good for them. But it's good for you to understand that it's okay to be vulnerable and let that happen if it happens. Doesn't mean you have to participate in it, but be part of it and take the constructive criticism, the positive constructive criticism, and do something with it. It's helped me out tremendously this year, in so many different ways, on a personal level, on an artistic level, on a business level. And there are good times for you to be able to be honest and open and vulnerable. And people are one of them. As much as we are afraid of being hurt, as much as we're afraid of being rejected, it's good for you to do that. So when you find those people, embrace it, pull it in, and let it happen. Whatever it is that comes up, let it happen, and then be a part of it at the moment. It's okay. And I think that's pretty much it for the notes that I've been writing down for the past couple of days. There's some other things that I was thinking about, but one of the things that we'll talk about later is next week, I want to talk about the same kind of thing, but we're going to talk about the productivity part of it and not allowing ourselves to be distracted. So we'll talk about that a little bit more next week, and I will definitely follow through with that. And we're going to kind of start with some things that I'm going to be drawing today. But first, I'll tell you guys, it's pretty much Auroboris. I don't know if you guys know what Auroboris is, but Auroboris is an emblematic serpent of ancient Egypt and Greece, represented with its tail and its mouth, continually devouring itself and being reborn from itself. It's known as the oldest allegorical symbol in alchemy. The Ouroboros represented the concept of eternity and endless return. I've always heard it as the you get what you give kind of scenario. You know what I mean? And I was talking with Bruno and Kier about this the other night, and I had this like idea. Like I was hung out with Jason and Kier at the Philly convention. I'm super excited to see everybody this weekend. If you guys get to make it this next week to the BYOB Paradise Gathering, that's going to be awesome. I get to meet a lot of you for the first time in person. That's going to be even cooler. And then the four of us, Bruno, Kier, Jason, and myself, have been hanging out quite a bit this year. And the four of us will actually be able to get together in person. So that's going to be epic as well. But I was talking with them about this idea when I was in Philly with those guys. Jason's snakes, I always dig them. I've always dug them. I like the way he draws the heads. I like the way the body moves. You know what I mean? So, and he likes to incorporate a lot of waves with them too. And I think it's pretty cool because basically a Japanese wave can be very snake-like, very serpentine-like. And so like I was talking with them about the idea of this Ouroboros. And I realized that like when you're drawing the head, there's this like very wedge shape for the top part of the head. So I was looking at my hand one day and I was like, hey, that's kind of like the same shape that I'm trying to draw. So I think today what I'm going to do is try to construct this image for us and like kind of just show my process and stuff like that. And I'll draw it on the iPad here, so maybe you guys can see a little bit better. But with all that being said, I just want to say good morning to everybody and see how everybody's doing and kind of touch base with y'all and see if anybody had any questions or anybody wanted to add or contribute anything to the conversation. How's it going, guys?
Good morning. How's it going?
Pretty good.
Good morning, brother.
Bruno, ¿qué pasa, man? What's up, dude?
¿Cómo estás? Buenos días. Everything
Hola.
good, man. Great talk, man. Great talk.
Thank you.
Very inspiring. Yeah, like those are subjects that, you know, sometimes they don't really get touched on often enough, and it's good to you know, hear you talk about it and get your perspective on it.
Sweet, man. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, it's one of those things that, you know, it's always hard as artists and us as tattoo artists. It's always hard to kind of like tell everybody what we're doing, you know, what it is, where it is that we're coming from, and how we kind of create what it is that we create, you know. So like, I know for me, I like to draw like a lot of weird shit sometimes, and sometimes people are like, hey man, you want to tattoo something on me? I was like, yeah, sure. What do you want to tattoo? Like anything you want. Like, well, let's talk about that for a second, okay? Because what I want to do might not be the same thing you want to do. So
I feel that for sure.
yeah, we've said that a couple of times. Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, let's see who else is in here. We got Joe and Faith.
What's up?
How goes it?
It's going.
What you working on today?
I like the
Joe?
that was good. Very inspirational. I remember I took motivational psychology like a long ass time ago. And all I can remember is that motivation, the arousal of goal-directed behavior. So it's something that makes you want to achieve a goal. If you feel inspired, I don't know why that stuck with me.
That's awesome to hear. That's exactly what I was wanting to talk about next week, the motivation part of it. Yeah, for sure. So tell us that definition one more time. The motivation, what was it?
It was motivation is the arousal of goal-directed behavior.
Nice.
It was a behavior class where they studied rats the whole time, like eating like first and all that kind of stuff. But it was definitely interesting. There's like so much going on with like the brain and like just in general.
That's killer.
Reward system and all that kind of stuff.
That's cool. Yeah, I like getting into that stuff, man. I for myself, I find it like it ties pretty directly with my artwork and like my process and stuff. You know what I mean? So, and I think that's because I've always felt like I could be doing something a little bit different with my life or with the way that my attitude is or my interaction with myself and the effects of the world around me. You know what I mean? So, and I think for myself, that's what I see whenever I go to museums and stuff like that. And I see these paintings that have been around for centuries. It's like that was a time and place, but it was also a person's interactions of the world that they knew at that moment. You know what I mean? So it's like a history piece almost. Even it's like a historical record of this person's interactions and like their emotions and stuff. So it's pretty wild to me.
Almost like a timestamp. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude.
Period.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It is like a timestamp. You're right. It's like a time capsule up on the wall, right?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Of that perspective.
Mm-hmm. And how are you doing today, Joe?
Doing well. Very well.
It's good to hear, man. I'm glad to hear that.
This painting that I'm working on.
Mm-hmm.
Last time I remember working on it, I think Jake Meeks was still doing it was like right when I started coming to these things. But it's been on my wall for a or two because I thought I was gonna gesso over it. I was gonna start over or something like that. But I just pulled it off the wall and I was stuck once, but now I got like all these new tricks and shit that I learned. And like I'm like getting really into yellow green, so I'm just putting yellow green in there.
Nice.
And I pull the sky towards her face. Couldn't have done any of that 2 months ago.
Pretty wild, right?
I remember when you started it. Yeah, it's like real nice.
It's so radical, man. Thanks for sharing that with us, dude. That's cool as fuck. That's exactly what it is that I'm talking about. Like I've thrown away so many things that I wish I didn't fucking throw it away. So I'll try to redraw it. It's never really the same, but yeah, man, that's good that you kept it up there like that. That's awesome. I feel the same way. I feel like I've picked up a lot of things from, you know, hanging out with the Bruno, Kier, and Jason, and like talking with you guys, and even jumping on here and pretending like I know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? So even that in its own process is like shit, man. I'm learning, dude. Like it's crazy, like the terminology and stuff, dude. It's wild. Like I never would have thought that I'd be right here. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's cool. So yellow greens. What's up?
You have a lot to offer, man. I really appreciate, you know, some of the things that you share, because you know the I guess I don't know if it's psychological, but you know, like the mind aspect of things. You know, like getting inspired in the morning, like getting things going. You know, like that discipline factor too. The distractions, like all those things that are more mental than anything else, you know, but that are directly connected and directly influence, you know, the art making, you know, and like the results of your art, like how in the moment are you, you know, like how loose are you, or are you like being distracted by your own mind in ways where it's distorting what you're creating? You're, you know, now you're creating influenced by the pressures that you put on yourself from, you know, what other people might say about your art, things like that, you know. So like if you don't really get that mind aspect in order, you know, like it's hard to catch that good solid rhythm, you know. And so it's such an important part of being a creator, you know, to kind of get to know what works best for you, and things like that, and talk about these things, and remember how it's important, you know, to set aside distractions and to hear someone else, you know, kind of share these experiences that we probably feel sometimes that we're the only ones going through it, right? But it's good to hear, you know, someone else, you know, share about these experiences and what their thought process is, and and it becomes helpful as new tools for me, but also as a reminder, you know.
Nice.
And so man, so I find a lot of value in this and talk, you know, the things that you brought up. Cheeky does too, I think.
Cheeky loves it. She misses my voice, doesn't she? Cheeky misses me, man. Well, thank you, Bruno. That's very fucking nice of you to say, dude. I appreciate that so much. For it to have a positive effect, man. It's you know, it was a vulnerability of mine for a long time to even say that stuff. Like you said, dude, a lot of us go through life and we think we're the only ones that feel that, dude, but that's really not the case. Cause like, if we feel this and we're a human, then that means that all these other humans around us possibly feel the exact same fucking way that we do, but they might think of it in a different term, right? So that's cool to hear, man.
Realize it, just to overlook it completely because it hasn't been spoken to.
Yeah, for sure. You know what I mean? It's like whenever you see tattoos or artwork that you would have never thought can exist, and then you see them and you're like, wow, that's a possibility. You know what I mean? There's a dude, I used to skateboard a lot. Like, as a matter of fact, I almost didn't start tattooing because I was like, oh, well, if I start tattooing, then I'm going to have to stop skateboarding because I don't want to fuck my wrists up. You know what I mean? So it was like one or the other. For me, I'm very black and white like that. And so like I gave up skateboarding. You know what I mean? And I loved it, dude. I would do it all the time. But there's a guy named Rodney Mullen that talks about that stuff. You know what I mean? Like, this dude was creating all these tricks, and he's like the basis of a lot of the modern tricks that skateboarders do, you know? And he was talking about that. Like, he was talking about, like, you know, being around other skaters that do these things that he was like, wait, what? You know what I mean? You can do that, you know? And like, but it was cool to hear him talk about, like, not take like this road where he's like, I'm the guy that created that originally, but actually to see these people take what they saw him do and then push it that much further because of their idea, their interpretation of what was actually done that they saw, right? And they're like, I can do this with that. Yeah. And like you know, and it just fed off itself, dude. It's like this Ouroboros thing, like I'm talking about. It's like this constant cycle, man. What's that? Yeah. There you go.
Alchemical gold symbol.
Nice, dude. You got it. You got it, man. That's exactly it. Yeah, dude. It's a wild thing, you know. And I remember the first time I came across this image, and I was like, oh shit. Oh shit, that's it. You know what I mean? And like I couldn't quite define it yet. You know what I mean? The little dude growing up, and you're realizing this thing that you put out is what you're kind of receiving. You know what I mean? So like, if we're putting out nothing but negative energy, dude, then what do you think's gonna come back to you, man? You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of a constant. And like, if we change our mind frame up a little bit, just a little bit each time we approach the same scenario, you know, there's a reason that the same shit keeps happening to you. It's because they keep doing the same fucking thing, dude. So let's change it up a little bit, you know?
Isn't that the chaos theory, though? Keep on doing the same thing, expecting a different result.
Yeah. Yep. It's something along those lines. I think you're right.
The theory of insanity.
Yep.
Yeah, that's like the urban definition of insanity, right? The urban dictionary. It's like, you keep doing the same thing. Why do you keep expecting something different to happen, man? It's going to keep doing the same thing. And the thing of it is, like, we can do the same action, except for our opinion changes on it, and our perspective can change on it, to where it's not a negative thing that's happening to us. It's actually just something that happens, you know what I mean? And you just deal with it differently, dude. And it changes everything, all because we just look at it a little bit differently.
Right.
It's fucking wild, dude. Blows my damn mind, man. Every time.
Have you ever read the 33 Steps to Reclaiming Your Inner Power by Stuart Wilde?
I don't think I've heard of that, but I like the number 33 and the 33 steps, though.
So it's based on Lao Tzu's the way
Mm-hmm.
or the Tao Te Ching.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really interesting. He talks about making yourself uncomfortable, like breaking the body's comfort and discomfort opinions.
Yes, dude. That's good. Because that's exactly what it is that I talk about. Like whenever I tell people, man, just go. I ran into a lady, a friend that I've known for a long time. I hadn't seen her for a while. She's going through a bad breakup. And I was telling her, I was like, man, when's the last time you did something that you were afraid of? You know,
Right.
like when's the last time that you went up and said hello to somebody that you don't know, or like taking a trip by yourself, or gone to the fucking dinner by yourself? You know what I mean? Even that simple. And she's like, it's been a long time. I'm like, try it, just try it, and see what happens. Report
See,
back to
I
me
like
in 10
doing
days.
that anyway because of the surprise on people's faces. They're like, this random motherfucker really just came up to me like that.
Yeah, exactly, dude. They're like, what's your problem, man? I ain't got no problem just saying hello, dude.
Like nothing. I just wanted to give you a card, see if you needed a tattoo.
Yeah, exactly, man. That's awesome. That's so radical, dude. That's so radical. Yeah, like that, breaking that default mode, dude. You know what I mean? Our default interpretation. Exactly.
Right.
And sometimes that can be a negative thing. You know what I mean? Like sometimes our interpretation, that default interpretation, it's a lot of times it's spawned from this like young interpretation of our world, right? And
That's
the older
another
we
thing
get,
he really discusses deeply is the, perceiving things as negative or positive when really they're neither. They're
yeah,
just an
there's,
action you needed to see at that moment, and whether
yep.
you take a lesson from it or not is up to you.
That's awesome, dude. That's exactly it, man. It's neither nor. It's not positive or negative, dude. Does it make you more comfortable or uncomfortable? Yes, but that's still an emotion. You know what I mean? And like,
Right.
yeah, dude, you're right, man. It's exactly. I like this. Good. What's the book's name? Let me write this down real quick. Hold on one second.
The original book was the Tao Te Ching,
Okay.
which he says he does most of it in fable form. So like the way he's describing it is this man's horse runs away. His neighbors come to him and ask him, oh, well, isn't that a bad thing? Your horse ran away. And he tells his neighbors, it's not a good or bad thing. It just happened.
Mm-hmm.
Well, his horse comes back a few days later and it's got like 13 wild horses with it that it brought back.
I brought you back some friends, man.
Yeah, he's like, see, it's not a good or bad thing. It just happened.
Yeah, that's radical, dude. Yeah, I have read that book. I didn't hear what you were saying at first, but yes, I have read that. It's a great book.
But the 33 steps to reclaiming your inner power was
That's the one that I was asking about. Yeah,
a translation from a guy that's pretty much lived all over the world. He's passed
Nice.
away now, but it's a very interesting. He went over and wanted to study in the monastery and learn for himself. I think that's a path we all go down as artists.
Yeah, there's a lot of different stuff that I've seen and I've read about that. Like there's a movie called The Razor's Edge with Bill Murray in it from the 70s. It's kind of like that. You know what I mean? There's that moment in the movie where he's at the monastery, that Buddhist monastery, and he keeps reading all these books and stuff, man. And he's the monk's like, I'm not learning. I don't get it. I don't know how to let go still. He's like, I'm taking in all this information and stuff like that. And he's like, take your books, go to the top of the mountain and wait. You know what I mean? And he's like, take some matches with you and some wood with you. You got to stay warm. And he starts running out of the wood and stuff like that, dude. And he's got a match left and he's starting to freeze and he sees his books and he's like, shit. So he burns it and he goes, oh, okay. I get it. You know what I mean? It's not about the knowledge. It's about that moment. Like what matters, dude? What really matters, man? And like, what's in that moment? It's so cool, dude. I love that fucking movie. It's a good one. Yeah, dude. That's you've seen it before?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I like a lot of old movies.
Yeah, me too, dude. Like, man, it's so crazy. Like watching old movies, how the editing is so different than it is now. You know what I mean? Like, it was pretty choppy back then, dude. Like, not gonna lie.
Terrible.
Yeah, you're like, wait, what just happened? I have no idea. Like, I know they were in that store a second ago. Now, where the hell they're in a Buick all of a sudden? Like, what the hell, dude? Like, I didn't see them leave. They didn't talk about leaving. Nothing. Like, what is going on here?
Like the first part of the scene, all the windows are down, and 5 minutes in, one window is halfway up now.
Yeah, dude, entirely. Yeah,
Out
that's
of
so crazy,
nowhere.
man. I love it. Yeah. Yeah, I like a lot of old stuff like that too, man. They're starting to put some of that stuff on Netflix and Amazon and stuff like that now. It's pretty
I
cool,
like
like
a
the
lot of
old
the
Clint
old Kung
Eastwoods.
Fu movies for that
Oh,
same purpose.
hell yeah, dude, that's awesome, man.
The cheesier, the better.
Oh yeah, big time. We were just talking about what is it, Enter the Dragon, the Bruce Lee movie. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? That's a good one, dude.
So that one's good. I really like the Return to the 36 Chamber.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Plus Wu-Tang rules, right? So
Yeah.
like, how can you not like Wu-Tang?
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about, dude. I almost was gonna title one of these shows "Bring the Ruckus" or something like that. You know what I mean?
Old dirty bastards. There we go.
Yes, sir, dude. Like, got some Method Man and stuff like that too. You know, I like Method Man.
Oh yeah.
What do you guys think was your favorite Wu-Tang album or favorite Wu-Tang artist, dude?
That's a hard choice.
Yeah.
I really liked the entire 36 Chamber CD. But that song Torture really fucked my
Torture
mind
song.
up as a kid.
That's pretty good, man. Yeah. That's pretty good, dude.
Yeah, I'd have to say it's a toss-up, to be honest, because I'm a big fan of them anyway.
Mhm.
There's not like one specific one that I like over the other. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I liked
You know,
the ODB stuff a lot. And then I think that the Method Man came out with his after ODB. I think. I can't remember the order, but that's when I was like, dude, this Method Man one, that takes the cake. And then you know, Jizza came out and I was like, oh my god, dude, which one do I like more? Yeah, it was a toss-up for a long time. All right, so let's get to drawing some Ouroboris, man. By the way, am I pronouncing that right? Because I know it looks like Auroboris, or I don't
Nah,
know if
it's
you guys know.
Auroboris.
Is it? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
it sounds legit. I'll
Yeah,
go with
right?
it.
Exactly, man. So I'm gonna pull up Old Faithfuls here. I'm gonna pull up the painting brush, the square brush. I always love this. Let me start with some red, man. I think we'll start with some red. Is this okay that we do this today? Usually I share the screen, but I'd rather like all of us be able to hop in and talk. Like, I like to be able to see everybody and stuff too.
Oh.
I always feel like kind of alone at
No,
night here.
Yeah. I prefer this over,
The screen share, yeah. Cool, man. Thank you guys. Because like I'm always like, I feel like I don't even hear something. Cool. Yeah. So you guys got a busy day today? Everybody got tattooing to do?
Just a little bit.
Did you hear my heavy sigh?
Yes, I did. I'm gonna take that as a yes, you do, Joe.
And of course, in true artistic measure, I procrastinated until the day of.
Yeah.
Right.
There it is. That's what we're talking about, right? It's a productive procrastination is what we'll say that it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Productive procrastination is what we'll say. Yeah, man. It's something that I've faltered with.
Back to the inspiration thing too. Like, sometimes something will hit me that I haven't been working on in forever that I'm just like, oh, I really want to go back to that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's easy. And it's fun to just, like Faith was saying, you know what I mean? To kind of, she kept it up on the wall for a while, dude, and then you go back into it and it's like, yeah, okay, I figured it out. There was this dragon painting that I did, and I started it, and 4 years later I ended up finishing it.
Oh,
And yeah, and it's because I didn't know how to glaze with the oils at the time, you know what I mean? And I just I got so frustrated that I just left it there. But I would come into the shop and I would stare at it every day. And I'd be like, what the hell? How the hell am I gonna do this? You know? So like, but I ended up keeping it, and then luckily enough, other people liked it. So much so that during quarantine, you know, that second month in like lockdown, I was like, okay, shit's starting to get a little skinny here. What are we gonna do? So I started selling some paintings, and people were real supportive. It was cool, but that was one of them that they took, and I was like so apprehensive on selling it, man. But luckily, I went to a really good home, and but yeah, you know what I mean. So like, I think about that, and that all that time that passed, it was almost like that was gonna be the collected moment for it. That was the birth of it, and that was the intention for it. You know what I mean? It's just wild to think about that sometimes. Like
Yeah.
I could have just painted it over it like she was talking about, you know, like almost gessoed right over it. Dude, I'm glad I didn't. I'm really glad I didn't.
And that's
So
why I keep a lot of my shit. Just because
okay.
finished, unfinished, old, new, whatever.
Yeah,
I keep it. I hold on to it.
it's
'Cause you
awesome,
never
man.
know.
No, you
I
don't.
like fire too much for that.
You know what? Now that you mentioned that, you're right. You were talking about like torching the oil paints the other day to like dry them up a little bit faster too, weren't you?
Yeah. Yeah, I spent the majority of last evening torching the rest of the rocks on this side.
Okay, let's see that. Can you get it a little closer to the screen? Let me see if I can highlight it real quick. Hold on 1 second. I don't think I can. Oh, okay. Go ahead and say something, Adam.
Yeah, I've just been randomly piddling with it here and there. Hitting it
Okay,
with,
cool.
like literally just taking the torch to it.
Nice.
I like how you're building it though. That's cool.
It's been a lot of fun so far.
Yeah. What do you have as the backer for that right now? Like, what are you painting on top of that table? Is that wood?
No, it's just a watercolor pad that
Oh,
I
okay.
use for random stuff.
That's awesome, dude. It's really
I've got
cool,
it
man.
where you about can't tell what it is. It's just an extra palette extension.
Yeah, whatever works. You know what I mean? Like I've been real notorious about that for a long time, where I'll just kind of, oh, well, this paint doesn't seem like it's dry, so I'm just gonna use it and see what happens, man.
Right.
Yeah. So this is turning out fairly decently so far, I think. This is a good start. I've been drawing on this iPad so much that last night I was in the Gouache class, and we're doing a painting. I actually sat down with an oil painting and did a still life. And man, dude, I went to go pinch and zoom in on the picture. I was like, holy, I'm just kind of like, holy shit. And like, I got my fingers all messy, and I had to like repaint that area. I was like, oh shit, dude, what the hell? Oh my God.
Oops.
That's pretty
Yeah.
great. I haven't done that yet.
You guys done that yet? You guys have not done that yet?
No,
Well,
not yet.
considering I normally work analog anyway.
Oh, there you
No,
go.
I can't
Yeah.
say I have.
Well, that's cool, Joe. Okay, cool, man.
I do notice that I will
I
rest
like
my
being the odd man
hand.
out.
Yeah. What's that, Adam?
I do notice that I will rest my hand in it like I'm working on the iPad sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, I like to paint most of the time standing up, and I like to have my arms out pretty far in front of me. So a lot of times I'll have to kind of find a brace or something like that, like to kind of, you know, I went and found a yardstick, like an old school yardstick, and I've used that. But I know that there's like I can't remember what they're called. They're just basically sticks with pads on the end of them, so you can kind of hold it up at the top of the
Yeah.
frame.
I bought a dowel, like a wooden dowel rod, and just kind of made one time. I was like, I could make that. Shoot.
Yeah, no shit, right? How did it work out? Did it work out pretty well?
Yeah, actually, still, when I do paint, I use it a lot because it
Nice.
steadies the hand really nicely.
Nice, dude. Does anybody know what those are called?
No.
It's like some kind of brace that you can put from the top of the canvas. Down here, let me draw it real fast. It's like,
It kind of looks like a giant Q-tip in a way.
yeah, it's got like that ball at the end of it, and you can always tell that they're like tied because it's got the little tethered, and then it's just a stick.
Right.
And you just, you can put it like on the top of the frame, and then you can paint. You can rest your hand here and paint.
Gotcha.
And you're like, biggy, 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 you know, doing little trees and stuff like that.
I like
Little-
the sound effects there.
Doing little
Yeah,
pine
that-
trees and everything. Woo.
Happy little pine trees, ding-a-ling-a-ling.
Ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. I mean, I just heard like a Christmas bell or something like that. Ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. Christmas bells.
No, the second he did the Bob Ross thing, I was like, oh, that's the banjo.
Yeah, there you go, man. That's the banjo. Yep. Yeah, dude. Halloween's right around the corner too, guys. I'm pretty
I'm
pumped.
excited. I'm excited.
Mhm.
It's the only
Oh,
time
yeah.
around of the year I can walk around and people don't look at me funny. No, I'm joking.
I'm seriously debating on getting a full like costume and going trick or treating. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, my kids are still little, so.
Oh, there you go.
I'm slightly obligated. Darn to dress
Yeah.
Darn it.
Terrible. Joe, it's a terrible
Yeah, right?
circumstance
It's
you have to
just-
deal with. Yeah.
It's terrible.
It's
terrible.
just a terrible circumstance you have to deal with. Take me with you,
My
please.
kids are old enough now that they don't want shit to do with trick or treat, which, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
I don't
But,
think I ever grew
they
out of
just
that
want to go
stage.
party. They want to go hang out with their girlfriend.
You're like, that's not cool, dude. Let's go get some candy, man. Come on,
Right.
bro.
Like, let's go create havoc.
Yeah. Like, I promise you, one of these days, you're gonna remember me saying that. You're like, damn it. Yeah, I like it, man. It's fun. It was always fun, like making costumes and stuff like that. There was only a couple times that I actually bought some stuff for a costume. You know what I mean? It was very rare.
Yeah.
I buy, like, if you go like to the Spirit Halloween stores and you see those suits, like Beetlejuice or like Joker suits and stuff like that, and the ones that are like $100. I have like, I don't know, 2 or 3 of them in my closet right now. One's Jack
Oh.
Skellington's, the other one's Joker, and I have crap, what's the other one? I can't remember now. I'd have to look. But the Jack one I just bought, which I'm more excited about.
Nice.
I gotta get more coffee. I shall return.
Now, Faith, you're talking about doing that painting. That's in acrylic, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Have you started messing around with any oils or anything lately?
I tried to do one oil at one point, but I got frustrated because I kept hitting my hand. I think you told me to you can buy like a shelf. You know what I mean? I'm looking for one of those things, kind of section off somewhere to just leave it there. But I use water based. I can't handle all the chemicals.
Yeah. The chemicals are definitely one of the things about it that a lot of people don't like get into, like I can understand that entirely.
Started the
That's
first
what kind
week
of
that was traditional oil, and I loved it. Just you take the whole house. So I switched to the water ones. I don't know, they're so oily and like thick and smooth.
Yeah.
I remember in they're glossy. It's
Mhm.
like acrylic for 7 years, 8 years.
Well,
And I could never
Crazy.
get into watercolor because I'm a control freak. Water.
D, and that's
But my
why
mom,
I like watercolor.
my mom's a watercolor painter, but I could just never. I don't know, like it never worked out the way I wanted.
Well, it's kind of one of those things where if you kind of make certain areas of the canvas wet, then you can kind of control it, right? Like if you dampen it a little bit more.
You definitely can. It's just there's only so much. It's so like paint pouring. I've never done that either because that freaks me out. Because like you just pour it and like that's it.
Mm,
I mean, like there's a little bit anything where there's a little bit of unknown or like we just kind of let go of the control. I don't usually do well.
gotcha.
It's twitchy.
Morning, everyone.
Jason, how's it going, man?
You know, late start to the day, but it's going well. I was one busy person this weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got 5 templates laid out for back pieces for the BYOB coming up.
Nice.
4 of which are on paper, 2 on smooth paper, 2 on rough paper, and 1 on canvas. So we should have more than and I'm bringing a couple of smaller canvases as well.
Nice, dude. I'm excited, man. It's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what everyone comes up with and to take a few seminars as well if I have time.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's cool, dude. Thank you for doing that, man. That'll be fun to participate in.
Yeah, I'm gonna have all types of extra art supplies available. I'm gonna be trying out some new stuff as well. I picked up a couple of tubes of Turner's Acryl Gouache, which I've been hearing some cool things about.
Hmm.
It dries like a very even matte color,
Hmm.
and it's waterproof like acrylic, but that very even matte color is more reminiscent of a gouache. So I'm very interested to give it a shot and try it out. Might be able to come up with some pretty cool effects with it. So, oh yeah.
Nice, dude.
I would bring my oils because I just got I literally went out 2 weeks ago and got a brand new set of oil paints.
Yeah.
Yeah, just so that I could jump on the oil bandwagon and I can try to keep up with you. Because you're really good with oils and like I'm not so much. I know this.
Oh, man. Thank you.
But you got to start somewhere. So I figure, all right, well, step 1 is go out and pick up some oils, right? You know,
Right.
make sure that you have on hand what you need in order to try.
Yeah.
So the problem is I probably won't be bringing those to the BYOB because I have no way to transport an oil painting.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It makes it kind of difficult, doesn't it? It's like you have to have a place for it to dry and somebody to take care of it, and then get somebody to ship it and stuff like that. Yeah, it sucks. Acrylics are probably gonna be the best bet, paint wise, or
Yep.
watercolors.
I love watercolors. And like watercolor inks and acrylic inks and all that stuff. My jam.
Nice, dude. You got big plans for today?
Not so much. Doing some sketching and thumbnailing for the BYOB templates. And then I've got this one guy I did a Phoenix half sleeve on. He's coming back in today for the last session and to start planning out the rest of his arm. So that should be fun.
Yeah, that'd be fucking bitching.
Yeah. How about you?
I gotta get on. Yeah, I have a client coming in today. I worked on a tattoo for him quite a while ago, so we'll probably get in and do some new work, and depending on how much time we have, like, get back into it a little bit more. This old pinup that I did, so I'll take some pictures of it before and after kind of thing. But it's cool to be able to get back into some old stuff like that. And I think after that I might have a consult or two afterwards as well. But
Very
I'll have to double check I'll have to double check. It's busy. It's been busy. I've been pretty fortunate to be able to jump back into like the business end of things and it take off,
Right.
Yeah. But I'm definitely going to try to get on some of those templates, man, because I'd like to get some ideas down and be able to do something a little more productive with the time that we have, you know what I mean? And have some ideas kind of sketched out and stuff and put it all together.
That's what I'm trying to
Definitely
do
do
as well. Just brainstorming.
Yeah, basically. I got a few ideas here and there. Is that Stella talking?
Yep.
What up, Stella? Stella doesn't really like me too much, guys.
Stella doesn't like anyone except for me, and that's only because I feed her.
Yeah. She's a cat's cat, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. Love me, but from over there.
Right.
So my phone died. That was fun.
Oh, that's great. I love it when that happens.
You should
Right?
tell it not to do that.
Yeah.
I would try. I see you're eating a hearty breakfast right there.
Meow Mix. Breakfast of Champions.
I love chicken. I love liver.
Meow Mix, please deliver.
Please deliver. I love that movie, dude. That's another good one too.
Yes.
Let's do it like this instead. Yeah. Yeah, but man, things have been pretty cool. Been pretty busy with tattoos. Been like last night, like I said, I got into guys class. That was fun. I didn't think I was gonna be able to make it, but I jumped in anyway. And it was funny. I ended up here, I'll show you guys real quick. I did the subject matter was gonna be fruit in a bowl. But I ended up doing a little Bender character.
Oh, hell yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Bender Buddha.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Pretty good, right? Yeah, I ended up doing a Bender Buddha, and that was actually 3D printed, and it's pretty neat, man. But yeah, so we started doing that, and I was just doing it as the painting here. This is my oil painting attempt at it, and it
Now,
was
do you
pretty fun.
tint your canvas?
No, this is actually no. I mean, it depends on the size of canvas that I'm doing and what it is that I'm doing, right? Like this was just real quick. I was trying to get as much done as I could. So I dampened it with a slight bit of ochre that you can
Okay.
kind of see. You can kind of see it coming through, like you can
Right,
see
right.
right there a little bit. You know what I mean? So I just like this is actually more true to the tone itself that I wet down the canvas with. But I just kind of did where I think I wanted it to kind of help the oils slide a little bit more. And it's very sloppy, but I love it. Like this is pretty much how I approach everything at the beginning stages. Especially with oils. I love how thick it can be sometimes. And I've done a couple different processes with oil paints where there's more of a refined and a slower approach as far as the collective saturation of the oils. But I definitely like doing this style a little bit more. It's fast, it's messy. I have oil like all over my fingers. Like I said, I pinched and poked it. Here's another one. I'll show you guys real quick.
You pinched and poked your canvas?
Yeah,
Well,
that's
yes, he
that's what I
did.
was-
He
that's what I was telling him. I was iPadding it.
You know
There's-
what? It's not that bad though, as long as it wasn't someone's skin.
Yeah.
Why can't I
Uh,
two finger tap this?
Exactly. So there's a different approach to it where it was very much that process that Jason was talking about was like tinting the canvas. The entire surface was pretty much Let me get out of that shade. It was pretty close to this tone down here at first. And then, you kind of start layering real thin layers and stuff like that. And adding more and more actual oil to the canvas rather than like mediums and such. But that was learning to draw with the paint, learning to kind of set aside plot points and register landmarks in the drawing and stuff like that too. So that was pretty fun. There's another oil that I did a long time ago. I was fortunate enough to be able to be in a seminar kind of class with Jeff Gouache quite a while back. I think it was like 2007 or 6 or something like that. And it was like a crash course, and he kind of showed us some stuff that was pretty fun at that time. I'll show you guys some stuff real quick. Here's some tattoos that my daughter did when she was learning to become a tattoo artist.
Heck yeah.
That's
Yeah.
neat.
That's sweet.
So these are pig ears, and they're placed in a preservative in a mason jar.
Right.
And this is the closest she can get to human skin without tattooing actual people. So it was pretty fun. She just sort of doing really good, man. These are only actually 3 left out of, I think she had 6 of those total, or 7 of those total, and she sold the other ones.
Where do you find the pig ears at?
You can just go to your local butcher and ask for raw pig ears, man.
See, and I've tried that, and they tell me that they sell them to a dog treat making facility.
So just find the right one. Basically, just find the right butcher, and you'll be able to pick them up, no problem. They're pretty cheap too. I think here you can get them like 5 pounds each. You have to kind of throw them in the freezer, and then you can defrost them in the microwave and stuff like that. But I would just like set it out on the counter. You know what I mean?
Right.
But you definitely want to make sure that if you're doing that stuff, to put it in an isolated spot away from where you will be tattooing. You want to make sure you clean your equipment very thoroughly. You know what I mean? Even if it's different equipment that you tattoo with, that would be the most ideal way to do it. You know what I mean? So.
And that's what I would probably do. I would probably have my boys learn with the coil machines, like I did first. And
yep. Dude, that is
from there.
Jason and I have talked about that so often, man, but it can never, that conversation never gets old to me. It's like the foundations of tattooing, you know what I mean? Learning to use a coil machine, learning how to tear it apart, learning how to put it back together, the fundamentals of it, even learning how to like make needles and stuff like that are super, super valuable. And
well, those are all parts of our craft that are starting to become a lost portion of it, right?
Yeah.
See, that's one reason I would really like to learn to make needles.
Come up and visit, man. We'll sit down.
Yep.
We'll have you make some needles.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah.
Then I'll have you tattoo me with them.
There you go.
I damn sure need to.
Yeah, man.
And I won't have you go to Bori with a chopstick.
I don't mind.
I bet you don't. I would.
I see. There's a pretty controversial post that I saw on Instagram yesterday about how things are kind of getting lost, and they're specifically highlighting that I know how to make my own needles. I know how to do this. I know how to do that. And those, if I find it, I'll send it to you guys.
Yes, please.
I saw that same post.
Yeah. Do you remember who made it? I was actually pretty intrigued, and I hate to be in the from the standpoint of the material standpoint, but I see where he's going, and I definitely it resonates because you see that changing and changing and changing all the time.
Yeah, it's one of those things that like it's a lot of people that want to learn how to tattoo. They come in and they have this concept that you're gonna teach them this magical formula, and they're gonna be able to tattoo tomorrow or that same day. You know what I mean? And it doesn't work that way. And you're right, Lauren. It is changing where more and more people have more and more access to equipment, and they're skipping that entire step of the foundation of the fundamentals, stuff like that. And it's something that is becoming a lost art, and it's really unfortunate because it's a heavy part of what we do on a daily basis. You know what I mean? And like, it's so important to be able to know what it is that you're using is of quality or not. Not just because somebody told you this is the best stuff you can use because this is the name on it, right?
Well,
And
that's what I was gonna say. It not only knowing how to use it or what makes it good to use. That's the difference. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Knowing that technical side and knowing why is it this good? Why is it that good? You know what I mean?
yes, that's what Jason and I had talked about a couple of times, was like, why are the needles good? Why are these cartridges that you're using, why do you like them? What is it about them that makes them quality to you? You know what I mean? That opinion can vary for sure, right? But if you're learning how to make your own needles, you can look at something and go, yeah, that's shit. You know what I mean? Or
Right.
this is pretty
All of my
top-notch
needles
stuff.
are handmade by gnomes,
Keebler
one at a
needles.
time, using gnome magic.
If there ain't no gnome in it, you can go and take that home.
You don't
Oh my
know.
gosh.
You don't know.
You don't know them until you know them.
Oh my gosh.
It's sinless, dude. I'm gonna keep going with it if you guys don't stop me. You gotta stop me.
Okay, so I fully agree with, you need to have a basic understanding. You do. If you don't understand your materials, how can you understand why?
How to work
How
with
can you
them.
troubleshoot yourself and
Mhm.
apply that to creating the vision that's in your head?
Yep.
Right
Right.
now, I do know of another very prolific artist, Brandon Bond, in his The Whole Enchilada, Volume 1, actually goes through and specifically states, if I remember the quote correctly, it was something along the lines of like, don't try to fix your machine yourself. You are not a machine builder. Okay, that is not what you do. You are an artist. Focus on your art. Okay? Because I think what ended up happening, and I know this happened to me, for the first like 4 or 5 years I was tattooing, I was so concerned about my machines and my equipment, and is this 5-round liner tight enough, or should it be a little bit looser? Is this 8-round shader too loose? Is it not soldered down far enough? Did I shake up my pigments well enough? I was so concerned about the material and technical aspect behind it that I got lost. And I started obsessing about it, and instead of obsessing on the art. And that's where it became a detriment to me. So that's actually the time at which I switched over to rotaries, because I couldn't adjust spring tension on those. I couldn't adjust contact point or needle bar bend or rubber band tension or anything of that nature. I couldn't adjust them. That forced me to sit back, learn how to use that machine the way that it was.
Right, right.
And focus on my application and my technique.
That's very well said, Jason, for sure. Like, you get caught up in all the wrong points of what it is that you're trying to do, man. That's exactly it, dude. You're right. Nailed it.
Understanding it and knowing how to do it is one thing, but becoming obsessed with that is where I think a lot of people end up going wrong.
The thing too is even just if you can't control the obsession, acknowledge it.
Yes.
Very true. Very,
Yes,
very
Lauren.
true.
As long as and then you can at least start training yourself mentally to take certain steps to avoid that, whether it's finding triggers, where you find yourself, rejecting all these things about yourself because maybe you spend too much time on Instagram comparing yourself.
Yep.
A lot of that.
Yes, dude. And that's exactly what it was that I was talking about with, like, acknowledging where it is that you're at that moment. But a lot of times you have to at least see that you're there to begin with, right? And then a lot of times that's pointed out by somebody that loves you or somebody that cares about you or somebody that wants the best for you. You know what I mean? And a lot of times you're so caught up in it that you don't hear it. You're just like, well, fuck off, man. Don't even have to be around me if you want. But like, once you open up, like you're saying, Lauren, then you acknowledge it. It's a whole nother book and whole nother game and a whole nother life. It's awesome.
Yeah,
That ceiling's
I
cool.
acknowledge my obsession with tattoos and tattooing. Hi, I'm Jason. I'm addicted to tattooing. Wrong group.
No, you're in the right place, man. You're
Oh,
at the right place, right? The very right place.
So that started a long time ago, and it just hasn't gotten any better. I've gone off the deep end with it. Like, But I mean, I used to fall asleep dreaming about like Shige back pieces, right? And like spring tension theory, right? And okay, well, if I have this many layers of this gauge wire wrapped around this type of a core, how is that going to be different than I have this gauge wire wrapped this many times and in this many layers around this type? You know, which would give me the more benefit, you know, like that's
Jason,
the kind of stuff I would go to sleep thinking about.
Thinking about this and the way you're saying it, if you guys are interested, I was thinking about starting a tattoo trivia game show.
I'm in.
Yeah, that would be cool.
And here's the first challenge. Do you guys want to hear the first challenge?
Yeah,
sure.
All right. So you can't practice. As soon as you find out the challenge, you have to do it. So take yourself, record yourself, name as many tattooers, past or present, as you can.
Oof.
That might take a while.
It might take a while, but it'll rack your brain.
All right, so let's go ahead and buy some lunch and dinner because we're going to be here for a little while, okay?
We should do this up at the BYOB.
Yeah, I would love to.
Yeah,
I'm not going to be there, but yeah,
Okay.
I'm really
You
excited.
can always beam in.
Yeah, I will be.
That's what I'll have to do.
But yeah,
Yeah,
it
man.
kind of goes into, it puts things into perspective. There are so many tattooers that we don't even know, but they're watching and they're paying attention, but they don't. I mean, sometimes you'll find like an amazing tattooer and they just don't care about Instagram. They just don't care about Facebook.
Yep.
Kind of reflecting back to what you just said, Jason, like, you know, I wonder where their overall happiness lies because they don't have those triggers or those things that usually bring a lot of us down.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying there too. Yeah, Jason, you nailed it. Like, it's true, man. What is it that motivates you, right? What is your drive? You know, for sure.
So
like
my drive is just to be a better person today than I was yesterday.
Exactly.
And at the end of the day, that's all I'm comparing myself with, right? Like I'll look on Instagram for like inspiration and like, oh, that's cool placement. Oh, that was a good idea, you know? But at the end of the day, I'm judging myself, not off of the stuff I see on Instagram. I'm judging myself based off of what did I do yesterday?
Yep.
You know, and it doesn't even have to be art-wise, right? Like yesterday, I went through and corrected a problem. I was running prints all day on Sunday for my friend Harlan down in Maryland. Well, the prints ended up getting messed up because I tried to put this like clear coat over top of them to help preserve them a little bit longer. And I didn't realize that when it dried, it had like this chalky residue that it left. So I ruined all 5 prints. So I spent yesterday correcting that problem. And then I was like, cool, but I already have my mats cut for these frames. Wrong. Those mats were cut wrong. So I had to go back through and cut all of those mats all over again. So, I mean, there goes the majority of my day.
Can I interject?
Yeah.
Can I interject? I would say that you didn't really ruin them. I would say you learned from them.
I did. Very true. Very accurate.
Yeah.
But it was something where it was like, okay, I learned from that. That's making me a better person. But I'm also going through and saying, could I have just thrown those prints in the frame without cutting new mats and just coming up with an excuse? Yeah. But that's not integrity. That's not doing the right thing. The right thing is you go back through and you do it again, even to your own detriment. And I probably wasted about $50 worth of paper on those first 5 prints. Which doesn't sound like a lot, but you're talking $50 for 5 sheets of paper.
Right.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really compute until you really start to get into it, right? But that's money out of my pocket, but that's okay, right? Because I'm doing the right thing.
Yep. Yeah, not only that, but I can think of like things that I've done for $50 or with $50 that was way more detrimental to me physically than it was like anything else. You know what I mean? So
We
yeah,
all have stories about the old man down at the gas station. Trust me, I know.
Yeah.
He's got the best candy ever.
Dude, that's fucked up, man. I was just thinking more like cigarettes. You know what I mean? Like get $50 in cigarettes. What's that? you know,
Lauren, we can't hear you.
yeah, your
Oh yeah. Are
audio.
any of you guys going to be in Milwaukee this weekend, perhaps before the Paradise BYOB, Ricardo?
Yeah, I'm gonna be there at the BYOB. Yes, I'm gonna be there.
I'm gonna you're not gonna stop by Milwaukee Tattoo Convention that's happening this weekend, are you?
I don't think so. I didn't even know that it was happening. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I didn't put two and two together because the BYOB, but if you happen to be up near Milwaukee, let me know. I can get out there.
Okay, cool. That's awesome.
Saturday, maybe.
Is it my connection or is Lauren using your magic jack from yesterday, Jason?
Yeah, you're fading in and out, Lauren. Audio-wise.
It's the connection.
It'll be fine and then it dips, and then it'll be fine and then it dips.
Right.
Who knows?
Just like an audio problem I was having the other day that Atomic helped me, figure out.
Yeah, well, fun stuff.
The picture looked killer though. What is happening at the Milwaukee convention? What are you guys doing there?
Not too much, but since I live
Guys,
close to a lot of the artists in the area and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's
Killer, man.
Hey, Ricardo, how close are you to Chicago?
I'm about a little over 2 hours south of Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah, not directly
I've got
south.
One of our other artists sitting here with me. He was asking. He
Yeah, man.
wants to go to Chicago to work for a little while.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a
you know,
year into it, so I'm just trying to. I kind of want to explore, not just stay in my small town.
yeah.
What would you recommend, or how can I go about not sounding like a complete amateur when I go talk to some people about looking into an apprenticeship or guest spotting?
Apprenticeship or guest spots?
Guest spotting.
Guest spotting.
Guest spotting. I mean, I like face to face, man. You know what I mean? These days you can kind of reach out over the internet and just say hello to people, and it's a lot more acceptable that way. But I think personally, if people were to ask me that they wanted to work at a shop, I'd want to meet them in person first. You know what I mean? For me, it establishes a little bit more of like that serious kind of like they're after this kind of tone. Like it's more of a serious thing for me. Whenever I see them in person, they're willing to take the time to come in and say hello, show me their work. We can talk about it at the moment. That's important to me,
Okay.
So that's what I would suggest. But at this day and age, though, it's highly acceptable for you to at least make the introduction over the internet and say, hey, I'll be in town around these times. Like, would it be okay to come meet you, or how would you like to handle this? These are my interests. You know what I mean? This is what I'm looking for.
Okay.
And a lot of times, somebody wants you to work at their shop. They don't want you just dipping in and out either. They want to know that they can count on you and that you'll be there for a little while, especially if it's like a high volume
shop.
street shop. Yeah.
Okay.
They,
So
they
like when
want
I do have a conversation, like what maybe you being an owner, what would you feel is like the bare minimum? And I don't want to say the bare minimum, but like acceptable to offer somebody, because like I work here in Atlanta, and this is my home. My parents live down the road, and I love it here. But I do want to travel, and I don't want to just show up and leave. I want to build a relationship that I can go and come back over and over. But then again, I don't want to feel like I'm tied down too much. So would maybe offering them, hey, I can give you guys 2 weeks, a month, or what is a good amount of time that you would say that, hey, this is a guy who's really trying to work with us and not just use us kind of way.
we're talking about guest spotting, not permanent residence, right? Not like a long-term
like
residence. Guest spotting.
Mhm.
Guest spotting is an entirely different thing. I would still go in and meet them, and I would just tell them that you're interested in traveling, and like you like the shop, you like the work that comes out of the shop. If you do, don't just say that because you're trying to say it. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think I would just show them that you're interested. You know what I mean? Talk to them, show them your work, see what it is that you can offer for them, and see what it is that they can offer for you. Of course, it's a symbiotic thing. So you have to be able to get something out of it too, but they need to have that establishment for themselves first, So yeah,
Okay.
a lot of people do guest spots, man. You know what I mean? It's always fun. A lot of times artists that they have working there will, take a trip or go to a convention. They want to fill some space and stuff like that. And if you have a, pretty good portfolio that you can provide, and you're a good dude or a good person, then I honestly don't see too many problems outside of just their personal preference,
For sure.
What do you guys think? What do you think, Jason?
Get tattooed. Find
for
out who
guest
the
spots.
owner is
Get
and go and
tattooed.
get tattooed.
Okay. Makes sense.
That is the best. Seriously, man, I'm telling you, the best thing I have ever done in my life. is I've taken trips out to different places to go and get tattooed by different people, and you keep in touch. Like I could go out to San Diego. I could make one phone call, head out to San Diego, and have a guest spot set up for me if I got out there.
Awesome.
Because I went out there 10 years ago and got tattooed by someone. And we struck up a conversation, and we hit it off. Awesome. Great. You know, I could go out to LA. I was offered a place to stay out in LA and a place to work out in LA. I could go out to Ireland and go and do a guest spot with someone I met there at a convention. I could go out to Malaysia. My friend Clement has been dying to get me to fly out to Malaysia to go and do a guest spot out there. You know, I don't think I will in the next little while just because of COVID, but apparently it's pretty bad out there.
We're dying
that's
for
the
you to
thing.
come guest spot here.
Dude, hit me up. We'll talk. I am not
For sure.
opposed to that one bit.
Likewise.
I've been down to Atlanta to guest spot before.
Yeah, most definitely.
No, thank
Yeah,
you
in
guys. I
fact-
really appreciate it. That's I mean, honestly, I do want to do things properly, and I see what you mean. Like anytime you sit in anybody's chair, you know, that's an opportunity to make a relationship. So I get it, man. At the end of the day, it is kind of
Dude, you have them as a captive audience. If you get
Yeah.
tattooed by them, they are solely paying attention to you for that duration of time. Use it to your advantage.
Yeah.
that's true.
Yeah, that's ingenious.
No, he's right. I mean, that what he's saying is like, get out of your head and stop being like the rock star tattoo artist. You know, like, oh, I'm the best. At least that's what I try to check myself in, because there's moments where I catch my ego going like, oh man, you know, I don't need this shit. And then slowly I realize, oh shit, I do need that, right? You know, I do need to work with people, and you know, sometimes one just gets a little ahead of. At least I try to check myself, especially like it being my first year getting into it and seeing somewhat success, but then realizing that like, dang, you know, like getting into it is just the beginning. You know, it's staying in this shit for like 20 years and staying new. You know, not doing the same stuff over and over again.
I'm seeing a lot of blank room on your arm.
What's that?
I see a lot of blank room on your arm.
A lot of
That would be the perfect opportunity.
this one.
Not on the other
Not
one.
this one over here. Yeah,
Oh,
that's
there
kind
you
of
go.
what I
That's
did.
nice.
You got room on the inside of the left arm. You got almost your whole right arm.
Yeah.
Dude, softball size banger. Go.
Yeah.
South by size what?
Bangers.
Banger.
Banger?
Yeah. Pre-drawn,
3-hour
little, like,
roll.
you
Yeah,
know,
I see what you mean.
get whatever they want to tattoo. Whatever they want to do. Something small, softball size. Right?
As long as you dig it. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
get something like that done and just say, hey, you know what? I've got plenty of room on my arm. I love your work. I'm trying to collect a piece from you. What can we do about this?
Well, it's actually
And then-
perfect because it's like the entire premise behind tattooing, right? Like it's the whole point. Like you want to tattoo people. So you're going to come in and get tattooed, then it's perfect. It kind of
It's
works out
also
that way.
showing that you're willing to invest in that location.
Yeah.
You're
Oh,
spending
yeah.
money there. You're putting
Yeah.
money towards that studio.
Yeah, very true.
I guess that's the mindset of an owner versus just starting off. Like, what do you see in people when they come in? You know, like
Yeah.
things like that. Yeah. No, thank you. That's some good. That's some gold right there.
Yeah, because I was thinking the same thing about what's her name doing Pearson.
Gracie.
Hmm?
Missed it.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I'm like, I guess on our end, we get a lot of people who want apprenticeships, you know, and I guess you got to weave that out, like, you know, like who is gonna invest. And I get what you're saying, so I do
Yeah.
appreciate. I guess I just had to hear it again because I mean I've heard it in a video somewhere, but you're right. I think investing into people in their craft too, because we're all artists. We all want to create something, and we all are attached to our art. We love it, you know. And I think when we kind of take it with that approach and be, you know, like be nerds again, I guess, about art. You know, that's really where we kind of have to like invest into. So thank you, man. I think I need to really reassess my game plan and really try to do things the right way. You know, I definitely
Well,
want.
it all comes down to a basic principle, right? And it's something I learned very early on in my first apprenticeship, which I will never, ever forget. It's if you want to learn how to tattoo in a specific way or a specific style, or you want to start networking with certain people to learn what they know, go and get tattooed.
Yeah.
The more you get tattooed by the people that you really truly admire, you know, say I loved black and gray realism, right? I'd go and get tattooed by Bob Tyrell. I'd get tattooed by Paul Booth. I'd go down and get tattooed by Shane O'Neill. I'd fly out to Southern California and get tattooed by my friend Mitchell. You know, I would get tattooed by everyone I met that did outstanding black and gray work. And I would pick their brain the whole time. Same thing is true if you want a guest spot, if you want to start networking, or if there's somewhere where you're considering moving. Go up there and get tattooed. Go to a couple of places. Go talk to a few different places. You know, don't put all your eggs in one basket, obviously. Diversify. Go and get, you know, small little tattoo here, small little tattoo from this guy. You know, maybe hit up this guy and ask him if you can take him out for a beer. Like, there are so many different ways that you can network effectively. But one of the best ways is by getting tattooed.
Mm-hmm.
You have them as a captive audience for that duration of time. You can talk about anything. You can pick their brains and how they're doing what they're doing, or you can talk to them and say, hey, I'm a tattooer out in Atlanta. You know, I really love all the work that's going on here. You know, if you have a minute after the tattoo, take a look at my portfolio. You know, tell me what you think. You know, what can I do to improve? Where could I, you know, what do I really need to focus on more? You know, because I would love to come and maybe do a guest spot here one day and just, you know, try to get a feel for that. Boom. Now, not only are you valuing that person, that artist's opinion, because you're asking them to critique your work, right? Yeah. Which a lot of artists out there, a lot of top tier artists will go through and they'll break it down and they'll say, okay, this could be better. You need to work on this. This is confusing. What is this? I don't know what's going on here. You know, they'll give you a very honest, open, upfront answer. And they'll tell you exactly what you need to do to improve.
Yep.
You know, and if you pitch the idea to them, like, you know, I would love to be here more often. You know, fortunately, I am still down in Atlanta, but I plan on spending time up here every 6 months or every 3 months or whatever for a week or two at a time, just to come and explore the city a little bit more. You know, do you mind if I come by and hang out? Well, now they've got the idea and they're thinking to themselves, okay, well, if they make those improvements, maybe I'll have them come in here and do a guest spot. Okay. Now it's their idea and not yours.
Got some psychology going on, man.
Yeah.
It's like you raised some kids at some point in time or something. Dude, I remember Jason, it's funny, my kids when they're really young, I used to convince them that I could beat them taking dishes to the sink before they could, you know what I mean? So we'd be sitting down at the table and I'd be like, I bet you guys I can get this there faster than you can. They're like, nah, they'd take everything and put it in the sink. I was like, sweet. So you just kitchen sink them. That's great.
Yep. Psychological warfare.
I like it, man.
Word
foreplay. Word foreplay.
Some people go to college for that.
Yeah, everybody likes to talk. You know, everybody wants to say something that they're into and not have to just say it straight out. Like, hey, guess what, guys? I know I'm new to this room right now, but I love tattooing. Like, no shit. Really? That's great. Now you're just a weirdo. Yeah, exactly. No, but I'm saying, like, you know, people want to say those things. They don't want to have to just come out and say it. And like, you ask the right questions and they get to start talking about things that they're into. It's great.
Right.
Yeah. That's killer, Jason. I like it.
I feel that way about the machine builders too. Like, I want to pick their brain all the time.
Mm.
Well, at the end of the day, remember this. Tattoo machines, coil machines are just magnets.
Right.
That's all they are. That's it. That. So I asked John Clark about that when he was up at Philly one year. He's like, dude, they're just magnets. He's like, don't get too technical with it. They're just magnets.
He's just saying don't get lost in Don't get lost in all
That's
the
one
bullshit.
reason I'm not understanding why the pins haven't gone to a, like, almost that, it's hard to describe, but it's where the magnet's the centerpiece, which would move your plunger for the cartridge. The outside of it being the little coil set up like the, I'm trying
But
to
why
think,
would you
that
even need a
bullet
coil?
train.
Why would you even need a coil?
Well, I'm just saying that way you could use your magnet for the plunger for your pen.
Right.
You
Like
could-
the ink machines has a cartridge designed like that. It's called the Scorpion,
Oh,
Mhm.
do they?
Mm-hmm.
where the cartridge itself has a little magnet at the base end of it. And
Okay.
as you put it in and twist, it connects to the plunger. That drive bar has a magnet on it as well. That'll sync up and connect to the plunger on the cartridge. But they have a barrier in between the two so that there's no possible way anything could possibly leak from that cartridge.
Aha.
Right. So
Right.
you have magnetic connection to that cartridge, right, to allow that plunger to push it back and forth. So, I mean, it's there, but there's no coil that needs to be involved. It's just a magnet. You take two small rare earth magnets, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you'd still be using a rotary motor to run it then, right?
Yeah, which is kind of like the point. I mean, it's preferential as far as magnetic drive versus, you know, motor drive and stuff like that. But I mean, I like coils. I like coil machines, but I would say, in my opinion, like what I've experienced is that works better for me is definitely a rotary drive machine. You know, you
Now,
always
I like the pen. I love my Numa to death. It's a blast, but I don't know. I feel like if you could do it based off of that magnetic running, you could do it softer and smoother,
get it going, man.
create less friction long term, have something that lasted longer.
Well, you might not create the same friction, but if you're going based off of the same type of magnetic mechanism as a coil machine, you'd have to worry about spring burnout and spring
Yeah.
breakage.
Well,
Spring
I'm not
tension.
referring to like a coil machine. I'm talking more like the track of the bullet train.
Oh, maglev.
He's talking about like actual kinetic friction, like so the wear and tear of components. I think
Right,
is what
like
he's
where
what
it
he's trying to talk.
floated in between off of the magnet, so there was no physical touching at all other than magnet to plunger.
Well, I mean, if that's the case, then you could get the fucking plunger. If you can do that, then you should be able to get the plunger to just kind of like be forced by magnetic force without touch, really, right? Because that's
Right,
basically what the
right.
bullet train is doing. The bullet train is hovering it.
Hovering almost.
Yeah. There's still a lot of electricity involved with that, right? And,
Yeah.
And a lot of kinetic force that kind of makes that happen. So it seems like you'd have to kind of make the chamber, I think, would be the biggest issue, like the like housing that
The
material.
barrel. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be the biggest issue, is like the size of it, and like actually getting something like that size to function very well too. Which, I mean, the motors on the fucking rotary drives are getting smaller and smaller all the time, right? So I don't know. That's a good.
Well,
That's a good.
here's
theory.
something that I don't think anyone is thinking about. What you're thinking about is having that pin suspended in between magnets, correct? That drive bar suspended in between magnets.
That's what I said. I wasn't sure if that's what Adam was saying or not, but that's what I was saying.
Yeah, kind of to a degree.
Yeah.
Either
Okay.
that or the magnet itself being the central drive bar and using the sides as the electrical panels to push and pull.
So I know one thing that it's very common with the maglev trains but it's also an issue that they've come up with out at CERN in Switzerland, where they use a series of magnets to suspend particles in exactly the middle of this tube.
It's like
Whenever they fire like electrons and whatnot to like create whatever, like collision and all that stuff.
Right.
When you've got that much magnetism in that small of a space, you're going to generate unbelievable amounts of heat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's something that you'd have to take into consideration as a way to keep that cool enough to the touch.
Yeah, because then you're talking about compensators and all kinds of shit, man, or some kind of venting or something. You know
Some
what I mean?
type of liquid cooling system.
Or just cooling in general. You know what I mean? Or transference of energy, which is what the compensators are for on traditional coil machines. You know what I mean? It's a storage of excess energy, basically.
Right.
So yeah, that's
And if
true.
you're
Jason.
looking for a
Tractor on
super,
a dirt
super,
bike.
super soft machine, I would actually recommend Zion. Because if
Yeah,
you set
dude.
that thing all the way soft, man, it's like you can't even tattoo it.
Mhm.
Which one?
The Zion,
Yeah.
dude, I cannot tattoo with that thing unless it is at least at medium.
Damn.
Like it just doesn't, it backs off so much and it's so soft.
Yeah.
It's to me, it's almost like, could I tattoo with it? Yes, but a small tattoo would take me 8 hours. No one
And make
wants
sure to
sit
rise-
for a small
use-
tattoo for 8 hours.
Make sure it's the right kind of equivalence of disbursement and pigment too. You know what I mean? Because if it's that soft and it's super light, that's just gonna fall out, dude, super fast.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, man, that's wild. Well, that's a cool fucking theory, dude. I mean, if anybody's listening, you guys want to make it, you heard it here first.
Right. Reinventing needs a little credit.
There you go. I like that.
There was a guy up in, I think it's New Hampshire, Larry Ross. He's a machine builder. He actually did build a hollow coil tattoo machine.
What?
Yeah. So it's two smaller coils stacked on top of each other, wound with 30 AWG wire that's completely hollow in the middle. And he's got like this tiny little weird 3-prong armature bar at the top of it, with like a little spring and everything like that. But both coils are completely hollow all the way through. He's got a little clamp at the bottom of it so that you can take a disposable tube or a steel tube, thread it up in, tighten it down, and run a traditional needle-on bar through the center of these coils.
Directly through the coil.
What?
Yeah. So he does have something like that, but it still runs off of the same base mechanism as a standard coil machine. It's
Right.
just hollow and linear as opposed to side by side.
It's a pen. It's a vertical pen, basically. Vertical motor. Yeah.
So in that case, would you really even bend your needle to put your rubber band? I mean, how would that?
You would have to, because otherwise it's never going to float perfectly in the middle.
That's what I was kind of wondering, how it would float comfortably.
You would have to have some point of contact against the tip. You would.
Right.
And just for stability's sake, you would have to have
Often,
something to stabilize. it.
Right.
Either that or that shank is super narrow, dude. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
seriously, that shank is so narrow that there's almost no point to it even really, because then you're like causing all that friction from that stainless
Yep.
steel and it's just
Right.
shiveling right off. Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. That's pretty
Show you guys a prototype that's pretty freaking awesome that I actually saw in person. In,
Yeah.
Golden State. I'll bring it up in just a couple minutes
killer.
while you're on this subject.
Yeah, I remember the first time I took apart a coil, dude, I was like, this is fucking amazing. And the simplicity of it. And then you're looking at these old houses and stuff like that, and you see the doorbells, and you're like, hey, there's my tattoo machine right there.
Yep.
Actually, just found my coil winder the other day.
Oh yeah?
Oh, no way.
Yeah, dude. If I come down to Atlanta, man, we'll sit down. We'll build some stuff.
Yeah,
awesome.
I've always wound my coils by hand just because. Why not?
It's something that
Dude,
not a lot of people know how to do anymore.
I guarantee you, Adam, if you can wind coils and you understand that stuff, you're gonna have no issue building tattoo needles at all.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I have no concern that I'll be able to pick it up easily. I've soldered all kinds of electrical crap, dealt with car mechanic stuff forever. I'm mechanically inclined fairly well.
Nice.
Just remember, you're going to be taking about, 2 to 3 years off of your lifespan just from breathing in all that liquid flux.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I swear,
dude,
at one point in time, I singed all of my nostril hairs. All the
Man.
little silica that catches. Gone, gone,
Dude,
man. That stuff
I know.
was just. Woo!
It's always days afterwards. Your fingernails are still kind of like tangy and like that smell of like metal and like right here in your nostril. You're like, I don't think this is very good, but it's very good.
Why do I still smell burning?
Yeah, dude, it's incredible. Oh man, the amount of needles that I used to have to
can
make for the
taste
shop
it.
I worked at.
I
Yeah,
can taste
exactly.
it.
Yeah, dude, you can taste it and everything too, man. And your fingers feel funny when you're grabbing your machine that next day too. You're like, wait, what the hell is going on? Like, are my fingers eating through my gloves right now? I think they might be. Yeah, that's crazy, man. It was a fun time though. I'll be honest with you. Like, I learned how to do it with forceps. I learned how to do it with business cards and straight razors. And then even modifying our own jigs and stuff like that too. You know what I mean?
Did you
and
use a tightening jig?
Yes, a taper gauge.
Yeah.
Yep. And then that's what I was just about to say too. Like, it was pretty incredible. At one point in time, you could literally go to Radio Shack and Menards and Ace, and you could practically build your own tattoo machines and pretty fucking close to building your own machine and stuff like that too. And I know at one point in time you can make your own power supply and stuff like that with all that stuff. You still can if you really wanted to. So it's pretty incredible. And your own clip cords and stuff like that. But it's a lost art, man. It's pretty wild. And that's the other thing too, is I think people need to start delving into the history of some of these things too. Even if you don't know how to do it, even if you don't learn how to do it, it's important to understand where it all comes from first. You know what I mean? So
Can I show you this, guys, before I have to jet out for the
For sure.
yes.
Okay, cool. You can't hear him for some reason, but he's explaining how he came up with that idea and what it is.
Okay.
And I'll stop the share and reopen another video to see if I can get the sound on. He came up with that idea himself.
Ah.
Is he a tattoo artist?
Yeah, he was tattooing and he used to be into boxing, so that's why he and
Okay,
to show this. He came up with this prototype in 2008. So I don't know where the volume is, but
That's a good picture.
you want to tell me about it while I'm.
This is the first ever pin style machine created for tattooers, 2008. It came out. This is the first of the first. This was the first prototype. I used it. I put in over 1,000 hours. Max on motor, gears from toothbrushes, stolen parts, hand welded with plastic, super glue, electrical tape, and just a whole bunch of belief. That's a good picture.
That's fucking rad, man. I love the way he said that. And
Yeah.
a whole bunch of belief. That's so fucking cool.
Since I got
dude.
the
Holy
sound
shit.
on, I'm gonna go ahead and replay that first video.
All right, killer.
That's it. In an old Sharpie body.
fucking cool. I thought it looked like a Sharpie for real, dude. Like that's fucking wild, man. Like when there was no sound, I was like, why does that look so familiar, dude? Have I seen that thing from somewhere before? But no, it's a fucking Sharpie. That's killer.
The thing that I thought was pretty inspirational about that is, despite all these amazing advancements in technology and tattooing, at the end of the day, you can achieve anything with creative direction. And, you know, like,
Oh yeah.
for him, it was he saw a need in himself. He was having problems. He used to box when he was a kid, and he was having a lot of problems holding the machines like that. You know, so he came up with something different. And anybody can translate that into anything, any medium.
And it came from somewhere outside of art, and it came art as we like look at it as far as the visual arts, right? Like it came outside of that element. It came outside of anything related to tattooing. Like his idea was spawned by the fact of his interest at some other point in his life. It's fucking crazy. It's cool as shit. And it inspired that, man. And he's like, and that's the other part I tell people all the time. Like, if you can do something with your hands, you know how to do something with your hands, nobody will ever fucking take that away from you. Ever.
Yeah.
You can always fall back on the fact that you can make things. You can take something out of your mind and make it real, as quote unquote real as we want it to be, right? It's incredible. That's cool, Lauren. Thanks for sharing that with us, man.
Yeah, I told him I wanted to hold it in my own hands because I realized the significance and stuff like that. So it was a pretty cool experience.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that display of ink looked pretty fucking rad too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I would say that shit looked pretty raw. But
All right,
well, guys,
Go
yeah, about that
ahead,
time.
Ricardo.
No, I was just gonna ask if everybody wants to say hello and goodbye real quick. That'd be great. Jason, we'll start with you, man.
Cool. So I'm Jason Leeser. I host the Sunday afternoon drawing groups when I'm not having technical issues, and when things don't crash on me like they did this last Sunday. But I usually host the Sunday afternoon drawing groups. I work at a studio called the Inkwell Tattoo in Southampton, PA. I will be at the Paradise BYOB coming up this weekend with Ricardo and Bruno and Kyer and a whole bunch of other people. You can find me on Instagram at Philly Inc.
Thanks, Jason. Adam, why don't you give us a shout out, bud?
What's happening? You can find me on Instagram at atomic_injections47. I work out of Marietta, Georgia, at a shop called Pet Shop. Check us out. Appreciate it.
Cool, man.
Got Lauren, everybody, Ricardo, Jason, Bruno. Good to see y'all.
Killer, man. Thank you. Let's see. We got Faith in here too, right? Faith, you want to say hello and goodbye?
She's been so quiet, I forgot she was still here.
Mhm.
Made a lot of progress since Monday.
Oh yeah, that's looking wonderful.
You can
Looking
find me
really
at www.wincolor.com, WYNN.
cool.
Yep.
Awesome. Thanks for joining today. I always appreciate everybody tuning in. I'll go ahead and say goodbye. My name is Ricardo Sturdivant. I host these drawing groups every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern. I will be at the BYOB, the Paradise Gathering, in Jiminy Peak this weekend, and early next week, this weekend. I want to thank everybody for tuning in and saying hello, everybody joining in. Joe and Bruno were also on here, and I think they had some technical difficulties. I wasn't able to make it Sunday for Jason. I was hanging out with my son. We went up to the Van Gogh experience. That was pretty awesome in Chicago. I had a great time hanging out with him, and it's always a pleasure to do that with my kids. You guys tune in every Tuesday, man. It's always fun. We'll be going over some other things about like inspiration, some things that kind of come along with it next week. And you can catch me at Candor Tattoo on Instagram. That's CANDOR Tattoo. And I'm in Normal, Illinois. So if you guys want, say what's up. I look forward to meeting everybody. Lauren, we'll catch you next time. And I hope you have a good time in Milwaukee this weekend. So thank you again for everything and everything that you do to help